Monday Night Football. Niners favored by 7 at Minnesota. Kirk Cousins and Kyle Shanahan.
Primetime Cousins, a 7-point underdog, just ready to tear it up.
What do you think?
I mean,
Kirk against the guy that wanted to trade for him. Yeah. He didn't want, what's his face?
Jimmy G?
Trey Lance.
Oh, Lance.
He didn't want Trey Lance. He really wanted Kirk
Cousins.
Cousins.
I don't know how much that's true.
I don't know. There's a lot of rumors coming out of there.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy coming off his worst game as a pro, as we know.
This is one of the.
It will not rain in the dome, though.
It won't.
Won't be a weather issue.
Almost certainly. This is one of the biggest underdog lines that Minnesota has had in years being at home. They're very rarely this heavy an underdog, and certainly not at home. But, I mean, the 49ers are a way better team. Now, the Vikings, I don't think, are as bad a team as their record has shown. On the other hand, the majority of that was with Justin Jefferson in the lineup. They're different when they don't have him there. So,
oh, yeah, that's going to affect my pick.
It is hard to see how this Vikings team can in any way keep pace with a 49ers team that should have success. Now, countering that, you have the Vikings defense that, although it's not good, is at least psychotically aggressive and will pitch everything at you to try and cause you to make some mistakes. Now, if they can, the advantage of that type of defense is its high variance, right? And sometimes that's going to go your way, and sometimes it's very not. I don't know which way this way will go, but generally you look at the personnel and you're like, this is San Francisco's easily.
We saw Brock Purdy against the other psychotically aggressive defense back in week 3, whatever it was. Week 2, week 3 against the Giants. That was how you phrased it?
Yeah.
Psychotically aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And Purdy statistically, tore up the Giants.
Right. Now,
a couple of those were screens on 3rd and long, whatever it might be. But the Niners as a whole, with Purdy at the helm, handled the blitz pretty well. And Purdy did a really nice job in that game, just getting the ball out quick, having answers. That's what we're probably going to see here against every single week. How does the team facing the Vikings handle the blitz? The 49ers seem pretty well equipped to do it.
Right. Now, Cleveland is very aggressive as well, albeit in a different way. And obviously that didn't go well for San Francisco last week. Now, all the extra variables that we talked about, but I don't think you can just use the Giants game as evidence that they will carve them up. The other element, by the way, is Christian McCaffrey was hurt last week, oblique injury. We don't know if he's going to play or not. It's still up in the air. If he doesn't, there are some fairly strong on-off splits with Christian McCaffrey and this 49ers offense, right? Like, his arrival was a pretty important element of this offense going to an untouchable level.
So he matters.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah,
and when he left the game last week, the offense stopped, right? It stalled. Now, Debo also left. Trent Williams also left. Like, it wasn't just him. And this is the world of football. There's never a clean on-off. There's always an extra confounding factor. But if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play this week, I do think that changes their offense, particularly if Debo is also not in the lineup, and now you're down to, quote-unquote, only, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, and other weapons. But this is as depleted an offense as you're likely to see from San Francisco's point of view for the Vikings.
It is. I don't know how to read the report necessarily, because they said it shouldn't be long-term for any of those big names, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, or even Debo Samuel. But it could be enough for this game, right?
Yes.
McCaffrey could be available per Schefter for Monday Night Football. Trent Williams day-to-day with the high ankle, or avoided a high ankle sprain. He's day-to-day.
Right.
So, yeah, there's definitely something to keep an eye on there for San
Francisco. My read on it would be Trent Williams plays, Debo doesn't, and McCaffrey is a coin toss.
I think McCaffrey will play. I don't know.
I mean, if they're down, my point being, if they're down McCaffrey and Debo, that's a pretty big, that's as good a break as you're going to get against this offense.
And as great as Brandon Ayuk has been, that's been as part of this whole, right? They're going to need more from, they haven't had a massive George Kittle game this year.
Right.
And so it's more Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, I think, regardless of who's out there because of the McCaffrey injury. The other hurdle, too, when Brock Purdy hit the ground running last year and was awesome, the hurdle I wanted to see him jump was, what happens when the game flow's not great, you're not crushing a team, and you got to make a little fourth quarter comeback or whatever it might be? And he kind of passed those test once or twice last year. Even last week, I don't think Purdy did a lot in the comeback attempt. It was really Ayuk running through the defense, but Purdy, they made a comeback. Got a game-winning field goal attempt. How does Brock Purdy bounce back from the worst game of his career? There's still those hurdles, right? This early in his career, how do you handle failure? How do you handle a loss? How do you bounce back? How do you, after things did not go well for them last week? So those are questions I think we'll get some answers to on Monday Night Football. I think if Justin Jefferson's playing, though, to your point, Minnesota getting 7, they're the team that they're going to hang tough. They might not win, but they're going to keep it close. But I'm not sure. I think the offense is just too much of a challenge with Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, TJ Hawkinson as the top guys.
They still haven't played a game this year that was not a one-score game. So for the 49ers to cover this has to not be a one-score game, and that has yet to happen for Minnesota this year.
Primetime Cousins. There's a lot against each other here. Primetime Cousins.
Remember,
I've switched back and forth. I started Minnesota, then I went to San Francisco. I see you're in Minnesota.
I was going to go the 49ers, and then I was like, no, the Vikings don't play games that aren't
I'm going
one
Minnesota.
score.
You're right. Minnesota is absolutely going to keep it within 7.
Somehow. It will make no sense, but they will keep it to within a score. It will be a one-score game somehow in this matchup.
Oh, it's like Minnesota is just hilarious because they're 2-4. They're 2-4 in one-score games after being 11-0 last year, and all the other, your Football Outsiders, DVOAs, and all that stuff. It's like they're the same team in the advanced metrics.
Then they're better, if anything, this year.
It's the fumble. It's all the turnover luck, and everything's the other way. But it's also one of those things where it's like, well, last year they knew how to win because they had their veteran. Like they had Eric Kendricks. Knew how to win. Like that, but that's like what the story probably is somewhere. Right? Well, they have all these young guys who don't know how to win. But they might be a better team this year than last year.
I think they may have been in certain areas. The Justin Jefferson thing is huge. Like not having him completely changes everything.
Absolutely.
With him in the lineup, it might be a comparable team to last year.
I agree.
Without him there, it's very, very different.
All right, I'll take Minnesota to cover the 7. You're right.
Same. It makes no sense.
Maybe I've soured on the Niners after one game. Knowing the weather, I'm a weather guy. They should be better in the dome. A lot working against each other here.
Yeah, look, it makes no sense, but the Vikings will find a way to keep it close. Now, the fact that the 49ers, half the offense is injured, I think is a factor as well. I think that might help them.